For sale, baby shoes never worn. Welcome to CC Writes. My name is CC Lepke, and today we're writing stories in a flash. Flash fiction has only had a name since the 90s, but it has been a writing practice used by great authors for a very long time. Ernest Hemingway's six-word story, Anton Chekhov's brief writing on long subjects, fables, parables. Flash fiction has a long and rich history. If you saw my video on writing cell phone novels, then you know I absolutely love brief, concise works of literature as a practice. It refines your style, helps you learn what words are most important, and makes it easier to create absolutely stunning pieces of art. Unlike the cell phone novel, which still in essence is a long-form story, flash fiction forces you to tell an entire story in an extremely brief amount of time. According to the Masterclass in their article on how to write flash fiction in 7 steps, there are 3 key characteristics of flash fiction: brevity, a complete plot, and surprise. I'll leave the link in the description for the article if you want to check it out. It's an interesting read, though today I plan to get into more practical steps of how to write flash fiction than they get into in the article. If you're not here to learn a highly valuable writing skill that can refine your writing technique no matter what your preferred genre, then you can stop the video right here. This one isn't for you. But if you see the power in learning how to write concise, emotionally explosive stories, then stick around because I'm handing out my personal writing tools for creating great flash fiction. To do this the right way, you're going to need an appropriately paced plot, a powerful life moment, and the vicious devil-may-care attitude of the meanest editor that you have ever met. There are a few steps that you're going to need to follow. First, get an idea for your story. Second, decide how much time you need to write a full story about that idea. Third, choose the appropriate plot structure for your story. Fourth, fill out your plot structure with your story idea. Fifth, always let your plot structure be your guide. And sixth, edit down your story like a maniac. If you're not the type to pre-plot your story, then your steps are going to look pretty different. First, get an idea for the story. Second, write the story idea out with all the little elements you want to include. But make sure you use simple sentences and as few words as possible. Third, check to make sure your story idea is structured well based on how a plot should look. Fourth, write out your story again, but flesh out the ideas with rich words and descriptions. Fifth, check the structure to make sure it still works and strengthen any weak areas you find. And sixth, edit down your story like a maniac. Diving deeper into how you create your flash fiction, let's start with the first step, getting an idea. You want to choose a powerful life moment. Using Hemingway's baby shoe ad as an example, his powerful life moment was the loss of a child. Pick something impactful, something meaningful, and something as universal as you can manage. Even people who don't have children can understand that the loss of a child before they even have the chance to wear their first pair of shoes is devastating. When it comes to the plot, you need to pick an appropriate plot structure. For long-form stories, I used the Dan Harmon plot circle. But as I realized when redlining an episode of The Simpsons, short stories should be structured a little differently. For Hemingway's story, the plot structure is beginning, middle, end. 2 words per section. The beginning establishes what's going on. For sale. We know it's an advertisement in a paper somewhere, and someone is trying to get rid of something they no longer need. Baby shoes. The person has a child who no longer needs their shoes. Never worn. This is the unexpected ending that completes the idea and ensures a full story is told. We know that the person's child never had a chance to wear their shoes. With so few words, the beginning, middle, twist, ending setup is the only way to go. Short stories are told in thirds, meaning a third of the story in the introduction, a third in the middle, and a third of the story in the end. The longer the story is, the more plot elements you can add into it. If you were to write a story in 100 words, for instance, you might add elements of the Dan Harmon plot circle: comfort, desire, unfamiliar situation, adaptation, get what they want, at a cost, return to comfort, having changed. In 1,000 words, you could add further plot elements like the inciting incident, threshold guardians, or an antagonist. In the actual writing of your flash fiction story, you're going to want to use subtext to tell most of what's going on. Subtext is the story underneath the one you're telling. It's the difference between Hemmingway's For Sale, Baby Shoes, Never Worn, and the co-creator of Cyanide and Happiness cheekily writing Shoe Sale, Baby Died, which I might add is the single greatest tweet I've ever read. Imply your meaning as much as possible while you're writing. Tell your story in the space between the words and the feelings and ideas your narrator is dancing around. Keep your sentences and your words simple and to the point. Never directly state your meaning out loud. That's how you can write an impactful piece of flash fiction. Once you're done with your writing, go through and edit out the unnecessary words. For instance, the word just is rarely ever needed. Even when I'm writing a book, I'll use the search function in my word processor to find and delete every use of the word just. Very is another word that doesn't have to be there. Specifically, all, probably, frankly, truthfully, honestly, these are words that don't always need to be a part of your sentences, although you should view them on a case-by-case basis. Don't be shy about cutting things out of your story. If you have a list of 2 or 3 descriptions when one description would do just fine, cut out the extra. Is your character sighing after they say everything or between lines of dialogue? Cut it out. Redundancy, exposition, unnecessary information or descriptions, pointless bits of dialogue, get rid of it. Your sentences only need to say exactly the things that need to be said to get your idea across. Read through your story 2 or 3 times, combing through to get rid of the unnecessary bits. Then read it out loud to yourself or a friend. You're looking for a story that fulfills the plot requirements, completes an idea, and has a final thought or twist at the end of the story that conveys the meaning of your work. Let me show you how it's done. I'm going to try out a story of about 10 words or less. That means the beginning, middle, twist, end structure. About 3 words per section. The life moment I want to convey will be a first kiss. It's universal, just about everybody has one or wants one, but if I want the ending to pack a punch, I can't let the kiss be straightforward. There has to be something wrong or funny about it. The first time someone kissed me, he forced it on me without my permission. This is also a pretty universal idea, and it has a big impact in real-life issues that are facing this world. So maybe I'll go with that. His lips slid over mine, hand pressed hard to my back. I need his groin. Jerk. Just letting the words flow out, I told the story in 16 words. Let's edit it down to size. Our lips met. Cheeks burned. I need his groin. Jerk. And there we go. 10 words exactly. I took out some unnecessary metaphor in the first sentence, changing the long figure of speech about kissing down to a simple description of lips meeting. After that, I changed the middle part to show embarrassment of the kiss rather than add further description of what was happening by stating that his hand pressed into my back. I kept the last part the same because it was actually great the way it was. It conveyed the twist ending perfectly. It really is as simple as that. Took less than 5 minutes to conceive of, write, and edit the full story. You'll notice that I never say straight out that it was a forced kiss. I describe exactly what's happening without using flowery words or exposition. I didn't bother sticking to the word limit when first writing the story, but used the editing process to refine the work as much as possible to better fit my guidelines and more successfully convey the story. There's a beginning, middle, and end. And the end itself twisted the meaning behind the beginning and middle, making it an interesting whole. When you're practicing flash fiction on your own, I recommend starting with extremely small word counts like this one and work your way up to more elaborate stories with higher word counts. This will help you get better at the editing process and understand more specifically how to craft your sentences better to get more out of fewer words. I'm really happy with how my flash fiction story turned out. What did you think? Tell me about it in the comments below or share your own pieces of flash fiction, 10 words or less. And if you enjoyed learning about how to write flash fiction and want to see more short story writing lessons from me, check out the video on top where I show you how to write cell phone novels. Otherwise, click on the bottom video to see what YouTube recommends. As always, thank you so much for joining me today on CC Writes. I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I will see you later.